Well, Luigi Mangione appears in federal court on murder charges. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips.
And I'm Terry Moran, and that is our top story at this hour. Mangione, the accused killer of 50-year-old Brian Thompson, who is a father of two, an insurance company executive. The killer just made his first appearance in federal court. This comes after a new 4-count federal criminal complaint charging him with stalking, a firearms offense involving a silencer, and murder through the use of a firearm. That last charge under federal law now makes Mangione eligible for the federal death penalty. The
26-year-old landed in New York earlier today and was transferred to federal custody after waiving extradition from Pennsylvania, where he was arrested after days on the lam. He also faces New York State charges of first and second-degree murder related to the Midtown Manhattan shooting of Brian Thompson earlier this month. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky was inside court. Joins us now along with our legal contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer.
So, Aaron, tell us what happened in federal court. The action continues there, and I know you're tracking it. Well, and what can you tell us about Mangione, how he behaved in court?
Just an incredible day, Terry. He began his day in an orange Pennsylvania state prison jumpsuit, waived extradition, was brought on board an NYPD plane, then a helicopter, landed in lower Manhattan. The mayor was there to greet him, and then he was brought here to federal court, where he appeared briefly in civilian clothing, khaki pants, a white button-down shirt beneath a black sweater. He was shackled only at the ankles, and he didn't say much, but we did hear him answer yes to several of the judge's questions. The attorney for him, Karen Friedman-Agnifilo, though, called this a highly unusual situation. She said she had never seen anything like this, where he is charged in state court with terrorizing the public, murder in furtherance of terrorism, and charged in federal court with stalking a single individual. The defense said those theories of the cases appeared to be in conflict. They sought clarity. The judge told them to confer with prosecutors. It appears now that Mangione is going to be prosecuted first in federal court. He was taken into the custody of U.S. Marshals, and his attorney declined to comment on her way out of the courthouse just a moment ago, Terry.
All happening in real time. Brian, Mangione now in federal custody. So what happens to the New York State charges?
Soon, what I would suspect would be that, as the judge said in the court there with Karen Friedman-Agnifilo and the government's prosecutors, to confer with each other, figure out what happens next. Now, I think the next court date, unless there's an indictment, is January 18th in federal court. In that time, I would imagine that the state prosecutors will reach out to the federal prosecutors and try to at least get an arraignment, because they don't want that case to languish in any way, shape, or form, that a defense attorney can make any form of legal arguments that either the prosecution is taking too long, any kind of arguments for speedy trial rights. They want to kind of get their ducks in a row to say there's an indictment, let's have them before the charges, and if there needs to be a pause for the federal charges, they'll do so. But I think there's got to be some kind of state appearance.
Absolutely. So, Aaron, what do we know about how Luigi Mangione will be confined, how he'll be held, and when his next appearance in court might be?
In all likelihood, he is on his way now to MDC Brooklyn. That is the federal lockup closest by, just across the bridge. It's where Sean Combs happens to be incarcerated at the moment, Sam Bankman-Fried. But he is likely, given the nature of the charges and the fact that one of them carries the possibility of the death penalty, he is likely to be held in isolated fashion. He's due next here in federal court in January, but by then the U.S. Attorney's Office will no doubt work to secure an indictment. At that point, he'll have to enter a plea. His attorney has already signaled he's going to fight the charges, so we anticipate that plea would be not guilty. But Terry, there's just no telling. All of this has unfolded very, very fast, and no one has ever seen the spectacle that we saw when he was arriving in Manhattan by helicopter, surrounded by NYPD officers, including the police commissioner and Mayor Eric Adams. So nothing like this has really unfolded here in recent memory, Terry.
And Aaron said something, Brian, about Mangione and his attorney saying he's going to, fight these charges. How do you even begin to do that?
Fighting charges like this is like climbing up a mountain, and the way that you do that is one step at a time. You've got the federal charges in front of you first, and it seems that that prosecution is going to go forward well before you get either the state New York charges or even the Pennsylvania charges. And so I think for the defense here, it's either try to fight and win those cases, or if you end up losing the federal case, you try to get a sentence that will then be included in that federal sentence as well, so he's not facing trials in different locations or sentences in different locations that can be run consecutively rather than concurrent. So try to beat the federal case and then move on from there. If not, wrapping them all up together.
Yep.